I want to pick up, Matt, what you said about the CIA. Under federal law, the CIA could not spy,
FBI.
or the FBI,
Both,
CIA
right,
definitely
yeah.
can't.
cannot spy on American citizens without cause, right? And maybe even, I guess they have to get a search
Well,
warrant or something.
the FBI would need to officially open an investigation, which would mean there would have to be some sort of cause. Now, after 9/11, even the FBI operates under a lower standard in national security cases, but the CIA is prohibited from spying on Americans in the United States.
So it looks like the NYPD is giving the CIA a way to an end run around the laws governing their behavior in this country.
Well, and Matt can maybe speak more specifically to that.
We've never been able to show that this was sort of a cutout for the CIA to do domestic spying. I mean, we do know there were instances where the NYPD would gather information as part of these sort of CIA-sponsored, CIA-trained operations, and then sort of pass it back channel to the agency. You know, we were never able to establish sort of a long-standing pattern that suggests it's some sort of a backdoor around the law.
I'm sorry. This is a government agency. It's a local government agency. It's a big one with a lot of money. Money coming from the White House, money coming from that's DHS, I guess, Department of Homeland Security.
Justice Department.
The Justice Department, the City of New York.
City of New York, State of New York.
State of New York.
Yep.
So what kind of oversight is there of this operation?
Well, technically Congress has oversight of federal dollars being spent, but so far Congress has not felt that they're in any sort of position to really drill down on what the Homeland Security money has been spent on. And in one way, I mean, it's very difficult. Every year, the Appropriations Committee writes something into their bill saying you need to be better about tracking how this money is spent, because once it leaves, I mean, the people apply for grants and they're very specific in the application, but once it goes out, DHS doesn't have a very specific way to account for it so that they can answer our questions about it, answer Congress's questions about it. So that has been sort of set aside. Congress isn't going to look at it like that. And because it's a local police department, they don't feel that it's a federal issue. And the city council has said in some cases they don't feel like they have the expertise to really oversee it, which is, I've covered city government. That was a surprise.
I mean, the city council, you know, look, when the FBI and the CIA do intelligence gathering, it's overseen by the intelligence committees in the Senate and the House. I don't need to tell you guys that, right? So, but at the NYPD, these operations are being conducted, and openly Bloomberg and Kelly are talking about, you know, this being transformed into one of the sort of the key intelligence, you know, the premier intelligence gathering police department in the United States. And in the 10 years after 9/11, the city council has never held a hearing or asked, what's the intelligence division doing? Never once. So they don't know. I mean, they were learning this stuff from us. And most of them say, look, well, we don't want to know. Like, we don't want to know this. You know, we trust Ray Kelly. Ray Kelly keeps us safe. There hasn't been another terrorist attack. Whatever he's doing is working. You know, so we're not going to get in his way.
So no city oversight, no state legislature oversight? There's
been talk of doing it, you know, talk about an inspector general, but, you know, about putting an inspector general in place over the NYPD, but it doesn't look like that has any traction whatsoever.
No White House, no DOJ, no Department of Homeland Security oversight.
The Department of Justice has a civil rights division that has the authority to look into police departments if they perceive if a civil rights violation have been violated. There's never been an investigation like this into a police department for like national security cases. They have been reviewing a request. 36 congressmen wrote to the DOJ and said, based on our stories, please investigate this. It's been about 9 months now, and DOJ says we are reviewing the request to review the NYPD. Tom Perez, who's the Assistant Attorney General, literally runs away from me. Literally runs away from me. You know, I asked him, I said, you know, do you agree that with the NYPD's Ancestries of Interest list, which includes American Black Muslim, I do agree with that. And I mean, literally just sort of puts his head down and just sort of motors his way away from me. if I catch up with them at events. I mean, we've asked 100 times for interviews with them, and we can't get anything.
And no one wants to talk about this. The administration wants to talk a lot about outreach to Muslim communities and intelligence-led policing and what they're doing post 9/11, but they refuse to talk about what NYPD is doing, even though NYPD has the most developed, sophisticated, intelligence-led policing program in the country.
Right, and let's not remember that New York, Obama talks a lot about improving relations with the Muslim world. Let's remember that to a lot of the world, New York is the United States. I mean, so the way things go in New York for Muslims, when they write home, that's
overseas.
America to people. So this isn't just a New York issue. I mean, this is our Muslim outreach as far as a lot of the world is concerned.
So is this happening in Washington, D.C. as well, to your knowledge, or other cities around the country?
Mm-mm.
Only New York?
Yes, only this. And there are a couple reasons for that. One,
have other cities tried it?
No.
Yeah.
Other cities, LAPD has a very sophisticated intelligence-led policing program, but it's nothing like what NYPD does. And that's because they don't want to burn bridges with the community. They really feel that having relationships with the community is key to countering terrorism and that. And also what everyone says is that it's a non-starter because nobody has the resources that the NYPD does. And that's, there's always money, so I don't know that it actually is a non-starter. But I ask all the time, what if 9/11 happens in Chicago? I mean, do you just take the NYPD model and put it in Chicago? And they just, people say it's a ridiculous hypothetical. And I don't know that it is, because after a terrorist attack that's so tragic, I mean, you're going to look for a knee-jerk reaction and how to prevent the next one. And New York's bar has been, there hasn't been one. So obviously they think their program is working.